Welcome again, everyone, to the MUTV group chat. The normal panel are here. That is Maisie, that is Wes, that's Danny, and Ben Thornley. Guys, how you doing? All right?
Yeah, all good.
Morning, good, Stu.
Yeah.
I'm going to start as ever by just getting a bit of reaction to yesterday's show. This is from YouTube. Some interesting comments you made from yesterday's show, which Lee Sharp was on it. This one about Lee, my first favourite. I remember when we signed Sharpie from Torquay and his cool corner flag dance celebration, which I think most people actually think about when they think about Lee Sharp, do think about his goal celebration. So the corner flag one went down a treat there. This one here by Gunther, who says, "This is the world's best show. I watch every morning. My day starts with the show. I'm from Australia. The show makes my day great. Thank you, everyone. Love it. Could you please bring the boss on the show?" Well, we'll ask. But there you go. So that is very nice. Thank you very much. This one, David May, a far more successful footballer than Steve Gerrard, underrated, doesn't even cover it. Maisie, what a start to the day for you that is.
Brilliant. Hey, we've got some great people out there. My mum and dad are doing me proud there, sending me emails.
And this one from Jeff. When Wes talks, he sounds just like Mark Owen from Take That. Is that fair?
Yeah, I am from Manchester. I don't know what sort of sound like.
I suppose it's no.
I'll take that. I can take that. That's
Hey!
fine.
Very good, that. Very good.
You like that, don't you? Hey!
Very good.
Yeah, but you didn't mean that.
No.
I did, Maisie. Thank you.
No chance.
Yeah. So keep your comments coming in. You can also email us as well, mutv@manunited.co.uk. Right, our guest today is a key member of Ollie's coaching team. First team coach Kieran McKenna has been good enough to join us. How you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, very good. Thanks. Nice to be on, lads. Thanks for having me.
Morning, Kieran.
Morning, Kieran.
Hey, Kieran, mate.
Mate, how are you coping with lockdown? Young family, how are you coping now? Week 5, is it? How are you coping?
Week 5, yeah. Yeah, I'm good. It's nice to be on. So it gets me out of doing phonics for the morning, so that's a bonus. No, it's been obviously tough in a way, but nice in a way as well. Chance to spend a lot more time with family, chance to be around for breakfast and see a bit more of them during the day. So that's been a bonus. Obviously able to get some stuff done from home and a little bit of reflection and study time that we don't usually get, but at the same time missing everyone at the training ground and missing the staff.
Have you got more regard for teachers now as well, having to do with phonics and goodness knows what?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I managed 1 week of it where I was chipping in, but I think my missus would say I'm pretty missing in action at the moment. So thankfully she's taking the reins of it and enables me to go and do a bit of study in the spare room. So big respect to her, but more respect to the teachers who do it full time.
In a normal day during this lockdown, you mentioned there about being in touch with the players and Ollie and so on. What happens in a normal day? How often are you in touch with the staff or indeed some of the players?
Yeah, pretty much every day in some form or another. Obviously, we got a big staff and a big playing squad, so it's important to keep in touch. I'd say pretty much every day we're in touch with some of the players. I'll contact some. The other staff will contact others. There's obviously regular sessions going on with the fitness coaches on different online platforms, so we'll all jump into that as well. Coaching wise, we're having quite a few online, conferences and calls as well to discuss different things. So there's communication going on daily, really. Maybe not quite as much as what we usually have when we're living on top of each other for 11 months of the year, but yeah, we're managing to keep in plenty of contact.
Obviously, we see on social media, what the players are up to. I mean, have they got their own? Each player got their own defined personal plan.
Yeah, they would have their own plan, like what they would have throughout the year anyway, in terms of their gym and rehabilitation, and some of the physical aspects as well. On top of that, there's group stuff, so group sessions that everyone has to log into. We're actually in a period at the moment where we're just coming off them a little bit, so they've worked really hard for probably 4 weeks of the lockdown so far, but we don't want to flatline a little bit where they're working hard for too long over a long period with runs and things like that. So we're on a little period at the moment where they're coming off it a little bit, just doing what they need individually, and then over the next couple of weeks we'll ramp it up again with more specific stuff and more formal work together as a whole group.
But it's that difficult because to know when to ramp it up and when to ease off, when we simply don't know. I know there are some vague dates knocking about, but we just don't know, do we? How difficult is it to prepare that way when you just don't know when you're going to really need to ramp it up?
Yeah, it's not easy. Obviously, all you can do is take your best guess off of the guidelines and the lockdown protocol. So we've tried to work in 2-week blocks. So they've had 2-week planned blocks of work, and then obviously the lockdown's been extended. So we've adapted to that, but that's something we expected anyway. So again, at the moment, we're working towards, touch wood, the lockdown loosening after the next deadline and being able to return to some form of training. So we're working towards that sort of schedule at the moment, but we know that if we have to push back again, then we've got a plan B and a plan C all prepared.
I suppose that everyone, because there's not much else to do, we've got time to reflect during these weeks of lockdown, but can that lead to you thinking about whether it's new coaching methods or new tactical plans or all that sort of thing? Can this time, in a way, be of some value?
Yeah, definitely. I think anyone, from all the clubs would say it's massively valuable. You just don't get time during the season too often to really take good stock and good look at what you're doing yourself, because you've got a game especially with the schedule at Manchester United, as the lads know, you've got a game every 3 or 4 days, so you're always having to prepare and be ready for that. So a little bit of time at the moment to take stock, watch back some of our games and training, and think forward to what might be possible in the future. Obviously for ourselves and for the other teams, we're hopefully going to have pretty much a full squad of players to work with whenever we come back, in terms of injured boys coming back. So you're thinking about how you can reintegrate them, what the squad might look like with them boys back in it as well, and how we might want to look on the pitch.
Of course, on that point, hopefully when it starts, Marcus will be available, and Paul, the two in particular. We could actually the squad could look incredibly strong when eventually we start again.
Yeah, it would be nice. Obviously, that's two massively talented players that we're talking about, and I think we've not really had all season, with obviously having Luke and Anthony picking up injuries in the first half of the season, and then Scott picking up injuries, Paul missing most of the season, and then obviously Marcus being a big miss as well. So we haven't really had a full complement to pick from all season. So I think the rest of the squad, to be fair, deserve credit, and Ollie for how he's managed that and managed to keep the group together. But if we can hopefully get to a point where we have everyone back in, then there's certainly good competition for places in some position, and also a big chance to rotate, which we haven't always had the possibility to do, to be able to give people a breather and swap people in and out and manage the squad that way.
I'm going to open the floor to our illustrious panel, because they want to ask you a question or two as well. Let's open up with Ben.
Kieran, there's a couple of questions I want to ask you, but I'll start with one first.
Yeah.
Obviously, the question on everybody's lips at the moment, and people have got different theories. What is your personal stance on the finishing of this present season?
Yes, I think, to be honest, and it might not be a great answer, but we're in a similar position to the general public, in that everyone's just waiting for first and foremost for the government protocols and the health workers to assess the situation and give us the all clear. But from a personal point of view, I think, and that's the same speaking to the other staff and players, everyone's keen to play. Everyone wants to finish the competition. Obviously, for us, we're still in a couple of cup competitions with a good shout, and still fighting for things in the league as well. So we would like to get it played, and that's what everyone's hoping for. But I think, again, everyone's in the same boat in thinking that health is the most important thing. We can't take big risks. We can't take away resources and services from maybe other parts of the community that need it more. So I think we'd like to get it played. We have to be ready, but we also know that football is massively important, but it's not the most important thing in the country or in the world at this time. We have to take a back seat and just be ready.
Kieran, just looking at the games that obviously we've got left in the Premier League, the FA Cup and Europa League as well. Obviously, it'll get to a certain point where the season's just going to roll into next season, and then you're straight into Euros. And is there any talk about, I don't know, obviously, but with the Premier League or with the FA to cancel any of the the FA Cup or the League Cup, or is it just a case of just get the games in and crack on sort of thing?
Yeah, I think everyone probably is aware that the league, has to take some precedence in terms of if there was a limited time scale. So I think that's something that has been discussed. But obviously the FA Cup and is important for the country and important for us as a club as well. So it's obviously the schedule's looking tight towards the end of the season. It seems as if the European competitions are really keen to start up in August as well. So that probably tightens the schedule a little bit. And I think there's probably a feeling that everyone would like to get next season played in full and up and running at a reasonable time where we could look forward to a full season of football next year. So there's a lot of things to consider, and obviously it's not going to be an easy job for the people who put it together. And I'm sure whatever way it comes out in the wash, it's going to maybe advantage or disadvantage certain clubs, or some people will be more happy than other people. I think everyone's just going to have to be prepared to, take sacrifices and think about the greater good of football first, of the community first of all, and football after that.
And just another thing, when the lads come back in, will there be a certain time where, obviously, all the lads know about pre-season? Would it be a pre-season, or would it be 10 days where you think, right, try to get up to speed?
Yeah, there's certain elements of that.
I'm asking you probably out.
There's certain elements that you have to look at the moment as an off season, really, because of the amount of times that the boys have been off. So obviously, typically coming back from an off season of anything from 3 to 8 weeks, depending on internationals, the players will have maybe a 6, 7, 8 week run in. But I think at the moment they're going to be maintaining a higher level of fitness and certainly are training at a higher level than they would do in an off season. So we don't expect there to have been too much of a drop off in terms of individual fitness and general conditioning. So at the moment we're working off the premise that we'll have a short window of training, maybe 3 weeks or so before we return, and we're trying to get the boys to a point where they're coming back into that 3 weeks where individually they're fit enough and they're in a position where they can go straight back into 11v11, straight back into really functional training, so that we can use that time for tactical work, for match fitness, really, and getting the sort of things you'd be looking at in the later stages of pre-season, and hopefully the boys, and we know they're doing a lot of individual work at the moment that should account for their base level of fitness being in a good state when they come back.
Yeah. And Kieran, your background's obviously first and foremost youth football, isn't it? And what would you say is like the main, because there's a lot of young lads in the first team in and around it at the moment. What would you say for anybody listening that is the main traits for the lads that have come through and done well, the likes of Brandon and Mason?
Yeah, I think they're all different to start with, so you can't say necessarily that there's one big trait that carries across them. But I think obviously they all have to be a really high level, technically and physically. You need to have standout attributes physically, and you need to have standout attributes technically to be able to be in consideration. But beyond that, that would probably account for most of our under-23 squad. So, there's a lot of players who have that technical capability, and there's a lot of players that have the physical capability. I think, for anyone who's worked in youth football for a long time and seen players come through, you boys have all done it yourself. You're often looking at that mental edge and, that mentality characteristics of the players who can handle the step up from a mental point of view, who respond well to pressure, who like, playing on the big stage and playing with the big boys and playing in front of crowds. And I think it's often that mental edge and that mental characteristics that certainly with the boys who are in and around the first team now, that's the bits that you're trying to work on, that you're trying to push, that you're trying to make sure that they're really solid on, because, technically and physically, there's, most of them are able to make that step up, and very often it's how they handle the mental jump, which a couple of them have done really well this year. That's probably the bit that determines whether they can, break in and hopefully stay in.
Just on Mason, Kieran, obviously 12 goals, and he's only 18. Have you been at all surprised by how quickly it's happened for him? Obviously, we've seen in the youth team over the years, in the age groups, what a talent he is. But it's to turn that into first team and score 12 goals already is quite something. Have you been surprised by how quickly he's taken to it?
Not really, to be honest. I don't think anyone who's been around, for the last few years would ever doubt that Mason had the capability to step up through the levels and score goals. He's played up through the age groups, from when he was a very young boy to obviously later in his academy ages. He was playing 18s at 15. He was playing under 23s at 16. So he's used to stepping up to a higher level, and we all know he can score goals, and that's what he's done. He's got other bits of his game that he's working on and he needs to work on, and he knows he's still got a lot of levels that he needs to jump to really establish himself as a top player and to become a regular over the next few years. But in terms of Mason going on the pitch and being able to score goals, which is obviously the most important bit of the game, I don't think anyone's been overly surprised that he's made that jump.
Similarly with Brandon, where he wasn't on pre-season tour, and then almost from nowhere in a way has become a big part of the squad, and I think he's fast becoming a favourite with the fans as well, with his attitude and his tackling and so on. But is that sort of thing an inspiration for others, that you can do it, even though he wasn't one of the young players, for instance, that was on the pre-season?
Yeah, I think it is, and it certainly should be. There's a lot of talented boys in the group just below the first team group at the moment, and obviously there's some that have broke through quicker than others. But it's not about being the first one to get there. It's a long race, and it's who's going to be there in the end. So, yeah, Brandon's been a big bonus. I don't think it's maybe as big a surprise as what it's been made out to the people who've worked with him. He's a kid he showed it in his first year really as a scholar, and Danny probably watches and some of the other lads a lot of youth team football. He came in as an under 16. He probably wasn't the first one to get in the doors full time, and wasn't the first one to get his scholarship and things like that. But he came in the door as a first year scholar and really hit the ground running. Had a terrific pre-season and really established himself in that under 18 group straight away from the first day of pre-season as a scholar. So. He's again a kid who's shown that he can jump up through the levels. It doesn't faze him. It tends to boost him a little bit, and he's able to rise to challenges, and has a big mental strength around that. So maybe the impact he had has certainly been a big bonus, but probably not a surprise for those who know what type of kid he is. And it should be, and I think it is a big motivation for the rest of the under 23s and the under 18s to know that it's not just about the ones who are there at the moment. The door's open. All these, always watching the youth team games and wanting reports on who's doing well, and it's a big part of the club. And certainly those who are beneath have got a chance if they can hit the levels.
Wes, do you want to ask a question?
Yeah, mine's a bit different, Kieran. I just want to know who's the quickest out of the staff. Are you quicker than Ollie and Carers?
Yeah, I got a few years on Ollie, so if he's beating me, I know he was pretty sharp.
What about Carers?
You know what? We've been dabbling in the old 5K challenge as well, Wes.
Nice.
I'd have to say at the moment, I think I'm top of it out of the coaching staff. But
what I expected.
Carers has still got the good engine. He's a 10K man, and he can still clock the miles.
I just want to know, mate, so I can tell him next time he can ever go school again.
Yeah,
I'll wind him up a bit.
Yeah, get into him. He's never been super quick, but he can still cover the miles, and I think you could still get about the pitch better than me if there was a ball on it. That's for sure.
That's up, man.
What's your 5K time? Is it in the Scott McTominay class?
No, it's not on that level at the moment. I've just broke 20. I've just broke the 20-meter mark, so I'm in the sub 20 club. So I just got it down to 19.5. So not bad, but we got a couple of proper runners in that squad. So I won't be trying to go anywhere near the times where I could do myself more damage than good.
It's better than Maisie's, Kieran. Don't worry.
What's he looking at?
Oh, an hour
on the bike.
On the bike.
You got that far, Maisie?
Hey,
you ever got that far?
Depends what's at the end of the 5K, Maisie. Yeah.
There you go.
Where you're running.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we do have video. We did have video of Wes after doing his 5K, and he could barely get up his steps of his house. Wes, so
that's my knees, Stu. You get him mixed up.
He's a power athlete. Wes is a power athlete. He's a power athlete.
Correct.
You did mention there, Kieran, that the interest that Ollie takes in the youth games. I mean, how important is that to him? Because we see him at youth cup games and stuff like that. Yeah,
very important. I think he's obviously got the fabric of the clubs in his blood, and he's been through that system and seen how Sir Alex and how that was done over the years in terms of bringing for youth players. So it's something from the first day he came in. Really, he wanted to know, who were the ones who were really pushing on. Obviously, he had a good eye on it from the outside as well, watching games on MUTV. So it's something from day one he's been interested in. He's put a lot of trust in them. I think it's been pretty well publicised that we've been the youngest team in the league throughout the season and had the most academy graduates and stuff like that. So he's certainly opened the door to that. I think he knows and is well aware that we have to have a balance as well, and that the senior players are very important and the young players need support, not just on the pitch but around the club as well. So it's about trying to get that balance, but certainly having that youthful element to the club is a massive part of it.
What about the next set, if you like? I mean, obviously, when everything was frozen, they were in the semi-final of the Youth Cup against Chelsea. The likes of Mengi, Mejbri, and Shorty, those guys. I mean, do you think the next group looks promising? Yeah, there's some talented boys there. Yeah, and we're in constant dialogue. I was talking to Neil yesterday and getting an update on what he's doing with the boys, and there's some talented boys there, obviously in the 23s, but down to the 18s group. So, they're already starting to dip into training with us. Some of them names that you mentioned, to get exposure with some of the senior boys, and we're always speaking to them and finding out about how they're developing, watching the games, and it's an ongoing process, because when eventually the time does come for them to step up, it's really important that we know them well. We know their games, we know the personalities, and if we do that, it's a lot easier to manage that transition for them. I guess, not that, as we've said, every time on this program, football really doesn't matter in the current situation. But I suppose it must have been frustrating to end when we did, when everything had seemed to have clicked. Everything seemed to have clicked, scoring goals, not conceding any, 11 unbeaten. It must be a little bit frustrating that fantastic run of form had to end so suddenly. Yeah, it is in a way. Yeah, we were on a good run, and the group was confident. And when it's like that, you want the games to keep coming thick and fast, which they were at that time. But it's frustrating in a way. But again, I think I said it before. We feel as a staff, and I think even the players within the club, feel like a run of good form was coming. Obviously, the winter break helped, and the training that we got out in Marbella, and also Bruno and Ormonde coming in give the group a big boost. But we also feel like there was some good work going on before that with the players who were in the squad, and there was a good structure, a good setup, a good ethic in the group for them boys to drop into. So our hope is that it wasn't a one-off run of good form that comes to an end and we won't be able to match again. We're hoping that putting the right things in place, getting the right people in the door, and having the right structures and a good consistent setup will enable us to be more consistent in the future, because we know that's what we need to do and where we need to get to. So we'll hope to come out of the break in a stronger way, continue some of the things that have been going on that we feel contributed to that run of good form, and we'll be hopeful that we can pick it up again whenever we get going. Yeah, what an impact those guys have had. It can't be that easy joining a new club in January. But goodness me, what an impact those guys had in such a short time. Yeah, they did. And yeah, look, they've had massive credit and they deserve massive credit. So I think they've both had a big impact in their own way. Obviously, Bruno's been a big positive. The fans have taken to him, the players have taken to him, and as a staff as well. He's a great professional, a good person, and a great person to have around. And audience come in, and it's been well publicised, his passion and love for the club, and that's endeared him to a lot of people straight off the bat. But also he's a
he's a proven goal scorer, and he gives something a little bit different, and adds good experience to our forward line. So they've both had a big impact individually, but again, like I said, I think the other boys deserve credit as well for how they've settled in. And I think traditionally it's very hard for boys to come into a club and hit the ground running. So I don't think it's a case that the boys have been them two have been able to do that by themselves. I think it's testament to the group, to the spirit, to the work that's gone on with the staff behind the scenes as well, to have a good structure and a good setup in place that, if you bring the right players in, like those two have obviously came in, it helps them to hit the ground running and be able to show their best form, pretty quickly. So yeah, it's been a big boost. So big credit to them, but I think big credit to the rest of the lads as well.
Well, listen, mate, thanks for giving us your time this morning. We appreciate it. I'm sure you've got some far more important people than us to speak to. So we do appreciate you taking the time, mate. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thank you. Cheers, lads.
That's it, guys. Thank you very much for your company as ever. Tomorrow, I know the quiz went down a treat. So every Friday we're going to do a United quiz. But also we've got Quinny on as well. Quinton 14 tomorrow. Quinny and the quiz on Friday. So look forward to that. Hope you can join us for it. And we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.
See you later, boys. See you later, Stu.